Today on the channel from the NECA Universal Monster Collection, we've got the Mummy. Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel. And today, once again, we've got a special guest.
The Ancient Mummy, Tom Peterson.
The Ancient Mummy, yes, exactly. And he is here once again to unbox some Universal Monsters. One of the things he's more of an expert on, I guess you would say, compared to, you don't know a lot about Marvel Legends and stuff like that, but you know some Universal Monster stuff, enough to be dangerous.
I grew up with this. I grew up watching these movies, I guess, when they were kind of resurrected in the early 60s. Like I said in a previous video, they were the hit in 1963 and 64, and so much so that I remember a friend of mine and I going down to the local drugstore in small town Iowa, and all of a sudden we see these models on the shelf. At that time it was just Frankenstein and Dracula, and then it led down the line. But we were just blown away, and of course couldn't buy them at that point, didn't have enough money, so you'd spend maybe a month and a half saving your allowance to go down and buy just one, and then put it together and do all that. So that's kind of an aside from the movies themselves.
You go way back. You go way back, and that's
it's quite a fad at that time.
We're gonna eventually do an Aurora Monsters deep dive. We're gonna go through these. We're gonna talk about them. Maybe we'll get Grandpa on here. He could do it too. He would be good because he painted them.
He did a lot of the painting on the first half of them, and as you know, he's an exquisite painter. He can draw anything. So.
True Renaissance man.
He gave us a good start.
He gave us a good start. And I can really relate to not being able to get everything, because if I remember back when I was a kid, I never got anything. You never let me get anything. Or maybe he did, but I remember, and you don't remember this, but why couldn't I get the Cops and Crooks figures back in the day?
I have no idea.
I have no idea what Cops and Crooks are. And I always say it was because I had so many collections going. It was, Kyle, don't go down the road of another one. You got to stick with your G.I. Joe, your wrestling, your He-Man, your Star Wars, Transformers a little bit. You can only collect so much.
My guess is if you really wanted them, you would have found a way.
That's right. Always find a way. Never give up.
So it must not have been that important.
It must have been. Maybe hindsight is 20/20, and maybe I didn't like them as much then as I feel like I like them now. I don't know. That's a story for a whole nother day. But Universal Monsters, we've been there. Can't get everything, especially back in the Depression days when you were a little kid, right?
How true.
Not quite the Depression, but many years later. Many years later. But
it was different times.
I guess Grandpa and Grandma would have been in the Depression days, so it trickled down. It trickled down to you, saying, "Hey, we fought for it in the Depression." So
they lived through the Depression and very hard times. You could take a quarter. I remember my dad saying we found a quarter once, and we went and bought candy bars, went to the movie, and then had a hamburger afterwards or something. I mean, that's how far it went.
Wow. Inflation. It's real, folks. We talk about it all the time on the channel.
It is.
But we're going to do this unboxing like we do all the other unboxings on the channel. We're going to take a look at the packaging. We're going to talk about it. We're going to unbox it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see where it goes from there. And we'll do some comparisons, as we're getting quite the Universal Monster army at this point right now. So we'll dig into those and see which ones we like best and all that, and see where it goes from there as usual. Well, let's look at the packaging first. Once again, now hopefully you guys checked out the Wolfman unboxing. My dad and I did that one. We did that one first. Now we're doing the Mummy, so if you're interested, check that one out. But very similar packaging here, and I guess the Frankenstein and the King Kong were all very similar packaging. But very movie poster-esque from way back in the day. Very cool. It really does. Those colors really are vibrant. I mean, it's just a crazy coloring, and you know exactly what you're getting when you see old movies with this kind of poster going to it. We got Boris Karloff there, and we got the list of names here. Zita Johann.
You'd know her if you saw her.
Oh, okay, sure.
Again.
Sure. And then David Manners, one of the best mannered people on set, I heard. It's so nice they named him his last name, but I know David Manners. We don't know any of these people.
David Manners, Edward Van Sloan were two of the explorers, I think, that violated the tombs of the mummy and the other dead.
And you know, I'm glad you brought that up. Violating the tombs. That's one thing I've learned over the years is you never go into the crypts and the tombs, because there's always the mummy's curse. We know all about it. We saw it in episodes of G.I. Joe. We saw it in a lot of different episodes over the years. You get that mummy's curse on you, there's no way of getting around it. Like, they have those explorers, they do stuff, then they go back to America, whatever, and all the mummy's curse gets them. It always happens. That's whenever I go to Egypt. I don't get into the pyramids. I don't do any of that stuff on my travels to Egypt.
Well, Well, and from the movie, the mummy will chase you. Now he travels at
move
about
fast.
1 mile an hour.
But he'll get there.
But he'll get there.
He never gives up.
Yeah.
You got to sleep sometime. He doesn't. So that's how it works.
You could run circles around him, but you'll get worn out, and he'll catch you.
And he'll catch you. Exactly right. But I got to be honest. The Mummy, probably my least favorite. It's either him or Phantom of the Opera is probably my least favorite of that era of characters. I don't know about you. Where does he sit for you?
Yeah, I like the Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman. Those were my top 3, I would say.
I think I'm in the same boat. The Mummy, there was something that, it was such a slow plotting movie, especially for a little kid. I mean, now, very hard to watch because it's just, it's a little dated, but it is such a slow moving movie where Frankenstein, we're off to the races. Wolfman, we're pretty much off to the races. Creature from the Black Lagoon, we're off to the races. The Mummy is a slow one, and there was a bunch of Mummy movies, right?
There's I think 3 sequels. I mean, the first Mummy had very little mummy in it. It was Boris Karloff was this mysterious man who kind of appeared from the past, and he had designs on defending the tombs that they had robbed and all of that. So it wasn't till the end that you were seeing flashbacks of what happened to him, where he was buried alive as a mummy in the tomb of the princess, so he could protect her for eternity, and that was kind of the gist of the story. But the sequel showed the full mummy being resurrected in each movie and going back to try and rectify some wrongs that were done in the past.
And if I remember right, when I first saw the Mummy movie as a kid, that's when I first coined the phrase, "What are we doing?" That's what I said. And I was watching, I said, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why can't we just get to the Mummy? So I remember Mummy, probably that's why it's not so fond for me. And all the movies go together. I saw them all at least once. I think I saw the first Mummy a couple times. The other ones maybe once each. They all go together in my head like one big movie, and I remember it just not being the greatest. But that being said, I always loved when we go back to those Aurora monster model kits you had that are upstairs now. The Mummy one was always a favorite of mine, and I guess as a little kid I didn't remember Grandpa was the one that painted it. You had to choose your own adventure, choose your own artwork.
I did
on
paint
those
that
things.
one.
Oh, you did?
I painted that one, I recall.
So that's why it's
because
so
it was
bad.
one of the later ones. Yeah, it was.
No.
That's why it was one of the later ones released.
It's funny you say that because I always liked that one because you painted a little bit of blood on the Mummy.
I did.
Which doesn't really make sense though, I guess, because the Mummy he was already dead and all that. There wouldn't be blood.
There shouldn't be, but it was the blood of others.
It was the blood of others. Oh, that's a good save.
Right.
Good save. I like that. But I always liked that one because it didn't have it had the snake or something in it. And
right.
It's funny it was my least favorite movie, but one of my favorite Aurora model kits. So very, very strange
nice.
how that works out. And I didn't know you painted that, so
I
boy,
did.
cherish it. But there they are on the front. We already talked about that. And then a really cool spot of the Mummy there. We talked about it in the Wolfman video. Gonna be great when you get, you have your Frankenstein, your werewolf, and then your Dracula coming. That Bela Lugosi head. We saw pictures of that. That thing looks amazing. So you get all that kind of stuff going on, but you're going to have a nice library here. My thoughts are you build the library out like books, then you put the monsters in the front, and that's how I'm going to display mine. You're still torn. You're not sure if you're going to be mid on card or loose with these. He does have a set. He's going back and forth.
That sounds very good.
It's the eternal struggle.
Like a good scheme that you have.
Yes, I do. A good plan. A good plan. And then on the back, you got the Mummy. So very cool packaging here. The only thing we're missing really with these, and we didn't talk about in the Wolfman, there's no little blurb. We always love a blurb to tell us the story of what's going on. We don't have anything like that on here. And I don't know, maybe it's not needed. Maybe it is. You guys can tell me in the comments. But a lot of people know about the Mummy. But I would say a lot of people don't know the history of the Mummy, just like me. Inside, of course, the old Velcro action, all that kind of stuff. We do got the Mummy's tomb right here, and if you guys know, hit up Big Bad Toy Store, link in the description below. This just went up for pre-order last week. You can get the tomb for the Mummy, and I truly think the accessories are what is missing to make this Mummy extra special. Once you get that tomb, oh boy, it's going to be a party with that tomb. You can have him laying inside it, you can have him standing next to it. I'm really excited for that piece.
Yeah, I saw that on your video. That looked excellent.
Yeah, that's going to be a really cool one. That could be the proverbial game changer with the Mummy figure. It might take him to the top of the house.
It's got the tomb or the sarcophagus.
Sarcophagus, there you go. Yeah, $40. It's pretty expensive, so it's going to be pretty much top-notch quality, I think. And then there it is on the back right there. Yeah. You can see the sarcophagus and all that. So if you don't want to buy it, you can do a little of that old-fashioned smoke and mirrors, and you can just display that background if you want to.
Very good.
We get the Mummy in the plastic prison. Take a look at him here. There he is. All right, we're going to take it offline. We're going to get him out of the twist ties and all that kind of stuff, and we'll be right back to talk about the Mummy. All right, we got the Mummy out of the package here, and we're going to dig in to see what the heck is going on with this guy here. But we got accessories. We always start off with that. We got 2 extra hands. not a ton of difference from the hands that are on here. He's kind of got the Frankenstein walking hands like that on him. And then we get these hands, not too much different, just a little bit of a crink in the hands a little bit. But he does have his rings throughout. As we know, the Egyptians love their rings. Sure.
I've heard that.
Sounds good.
I've heard it.
Sounds good. We're going to go with it. And then we get these. The Mummy, obviously we are in the thick of cape season, as we all know, but apparently it's scarf season. That's what these look like, 2 little scarves.
It gets cold in the desert.
It gets cold in those cold desert nights. I tell you what, the sun goes down.
Yeah.
But I guess you put those around his head, his arms. Choose your own adventure on these. I'm not exactly sure, and it doesn't really show on the box where you really want to put them. I guess maybe around his neck.
Anywhere you'd like.
I don't know. They got a nice dark wash, nice sculpt to them. They are totally different ones, so that is fairly cool.
I think in a lot of the movies, these strands were left behind, which would tip people off.
That the Mummy was moving.
That something was wrong.
Something's amiss. The Mummy's on the move here, is what people would say.
Right.
Very interesting. And then we get this big, what do we call this? A trunk? Very Egyptian-like. Whenever I see this, and I see this, like, bird guy. What's his name? Do you know? Remember that? It's like Osiris, maybe?
You're right.
Maybe. But whenever I see that, I think of that great G.I. Joe, the animated series episode where they go into Egypt, and then Cobra and Joe's have to team up. Oh, it was a rare occurrence. We know that. But that's what it reminds me of. But it's got nice hieroglyphic-type things going on. And then you got Egyptian writing on the top. And luckily here today, my dad is fluent in Egyptian, so he can probably translate that.
I think it says, "He who opens this box will die." I think
loosely translated?
Something of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I'm glad you were here, because fluent in Egyptian.
Hopefully you won't.
Yeah, hopefully not. Well, here we go. I could be on the path to the end.
Ancient scrolls.
So he comes with the scrolls in here. And we all know back in the day, everybody loved a good scroll. Sea scrolls. What other scrolls were there? There's lots of scrolls. And then, you pull that out. Oh, boy. We won't ask you to translate all this.
No, that's a whole novel, right?
Yeah, that is a whole novel in ancient hieroglyphics. There we go. You said it. So you got this. So very cool there. You can see all the old Egyptian text and writings. Put that back in the box, never to remove it again. I guess it'd be kind of funny if you get some figure photography. You could have him sitting in like a chair with his feet up, like he's reading a newspaper. You could do that. You could really go all out with your Mummy adventure there. So you got that one going on, which is very interesting. Obviously, he didn't read those, but I'm sure that's a part of the movie, right? The scrolls.
It is. Yeah.
They must have had to chase those down or something. Then we get to the extra heads, and NECA, they always give us extra heads, and it's always tough to choose. And I can see some hardcore Mummy fans out there. Well, I'm going to get 3 of these to open, 1 for each head. I'm going to get 1 in unboxed. That's 4 mummies. Is there anybody that big of a Mummy fan in the world?
I haven't run across one.
I don't think so. I don't think there is, but maybe somewhere. Maybe Egypt. Who knows?
I think so.
But then you get 2 extra heads with him. You get the sleeping head that's on him, because mummies are very sleepy, as we know. Very, very sleepy. And then you get just kind of a static head on this one. And then the one that jumps out to me at first is the one with his mouth open. It just kind of looks like he's either having a stroke or he's in the middle of a deep yawn. I'm not sure exactly why. You probably know why he looks like this with his mouth. Looks like he's missing something.
It was based on what they did to him and buried him alive in the temple next to the princess that he'd had this illicit affair with. He was probably shouting from that. Although I will say those heads do quite resemble Boris Karloff. I mean, they did a fairly good job at that.
Do we feel the head is better than Larry Talbot's?
I don't.
Can't beat that Larry Talbot.
I think it's very close.
Yeah,
I think it's very close to being Boris Karloff when you look at it.
And to me, Boris Karloff always looked 100 years old, no matter when. He always looked old.
And he was only in the original movie, just like Frankenstein. He was in Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. And none after that, I don't believe. But the original Mummy, he was in that, and then none of the sequels thereafter.
And you said in the movie they cut his tongue out, too, didn't they?
That was part of it. He was buried alive, so he couldn't scream and shout, and there to protect the princess in the tomb forever. And I think these scrolls tell the story of that, and these explorers that are mentioned on the box, Edward Van Sloan and whatnot, discovered the history of what had happened, but I don't think they paid a lot of attention until
it was too late at the
until
end.
the Mummy came back to life to avenge his prince's honor and the tomb.
So just know that if you're ever going to bury somebody alive, cut their tongue out. Then people won't hear them. That's just the moral of the story at the end. But the mummy was around, and then he was with Abbott and Costello, right? With the mummy.
Oh, that's right.
And that's where they lost me. That is where they say they jumped the shark a little bit. It was fun to watch, but there was really no going home once you had Abbott and Costello involved with Universal Monsters.
Well, I'll tell you, if you watch Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, that's an excellent movie because you do have Bela Lugosi as Dracula, and it is, at least in its day, it was scary, and those two guys did a good job, but maybe the mummy was trailing off a little bit.
Who's better, Abbott and Costello or Laurel and Hardy?
For me, it would be Laurel and Hardy.
Age-old question. Age-old question. Going way back.
Definitely Laurel and Hardy.
Really, going all in. All right, well, now we get down to the mummy here. So we got wrappings, ceremonial mummy wrappings throughout. A little bit of a plain Jane figure. You can't do a lot with a mummy. He doesn't have a lot of stuff. He's one body wrap. That's all he is. But that being said, a great dark wash on here. This looks old. This looks ancient. That's the effect they're going for. Got some spots there. I don't know if it's like moths chewing away or something like that. Right. So we got a lot of that detail throughout here. But it is, at the end of the day, just a guy wrapped up in toilet paper is really what it looks like. I mean...
well, he's a model for the next pandemic because our CDC will have you wrapped like that in the next one.
There you go. We'll wrap it up. No more masks. We're going to wrap...
Don't forget that.
Total body wraps is the future, I think.
Exactly.
But then, we got the sleeping version here, which is great. So when you get that accessory pack, you can have him in there sleeping. You can have the top moved over and you can see him sleeping. So you really can do some things, some different things with that accessory pack. And I feel that if the accessory pack was included with this, obviously it would be a higher price point. But this might have been my favorite if we had all that. But that being said, it's a little mixed bag here. It's very cool for what it is. But it is pretty plain Jane at the end of the day. I mean,
it comes without the tanna leaves. Now you need to boil the tanna leaves to make the tea, to make the mummy activated.
Nobody wants... why would you do that? Well, why would you activate it?
You just do.
You just act... it's like activating a robot.
If you want him to do something for you, it takes tanna leaves.
Oh, okay. Well, good to know on that, too.
Otherwise, he's kind of sleepy.
We're getting a lot of notes here for further adventures of the mummy here. But it's all right. I think this is definitely a must-have, though, in your Universal Monster collection. You got to have this with the other guys, and we got some of those guys here. Of course, we got Frankenstein, the one that set the world afire here in the Universal Monster NECA collection. That was our first go-around. I don't have the black and white version. He has both versions. I feel like I might need to get this black and white version. And great friend of the channel, old Waylon Jennings, that old outlaw Waylon Jennings. You've heard about him.
You bet.
He has the black and white one as well. So I feel a little left out. Everybody has the black and white. Kyle doesn't for whatever reason. I think I might have to change that fate and pick that one up. Then we get old Wolfman here, old Larry Talbot special. I really like this Wolfman one. I think he's probably my favorite. I don't know about you.
Very nice.
I don't know. He won't stand very well without his stand. But, and then, of course, we got King Kong, Universal Monster King Kong as well. We both have two versions of King Kong. We got a clearance deal at $11 for that one. There is two more versions that come with different accessories. I haven't went down that road. I don't think you're going down that road. I don't need 4 King Kongs. Unless they're $11, I'll get one at 11. But out of these 4, which one's your favorite, would you say?
I really do like the Frankenstein, and of course you like them all for different reasons, but I do like the Frankenstein. I like the King Kong also. I'm
torn. I'm thinking I'm going Wolfman #1. And then I think maybe Frankenstein 2, then King Kong, then Mummy. As we sit right here, right now. Now, they showed that Bela Lugosi head, kind of a look of the future of what's coming. Oh, boy, that one might jump to the #1 spot. That looked dead on to me. The one I'm holding out hope for, they haven't said anything. They haven't even mentioned it. Of course, the Creature from the Black Lagoon. That was always my favorite. I don't know why. Not your favorite, though, right?
1950s.
1950s.
It was good, and it had 2 sequels.
Yeah, and those got a little crazy, especially when they took out his gills and he was running around the streets of San Francisco, and I don't know what's going on with the old gill man there. Grab
just
that.
An aside to that, if you want to look at, these are very vibrant and they'll catch your attention. You can imagine if you're a kid my age, 5th grade, 6th grade, this is the old Aurora box. And again, that sits up on the shelf. You're a kid, boy, you got to have that. And that's a creature model, and I'm sure you'll be talking about him later on down the road. But same thing, catches your eye, and you had Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and all these, and we'd run down to the drugstore and get them.
It's crazy. There wasn't really action figures back then, but there was a lot of different models and stuff like that. And it was all, you'd have to put them together. There was a lot of work and a lot of thought process to it. But yeah, we'll definitely do an Aurora Monster video here. We'll go through them all. We'll see what Grandpa hand-painted and what you hand-painted with the Mummy, of course.
There you go.
And we'll dig through all those in future videos on the channel here. But yeah, you'll be back. Hopefully when Bela Lugosi comes, you'll come back to the table and we'll do Bela Lugosi unboxing. We'll see what's up with that one when that time comes. So there it is. Any last thoughts on the Mummy?
No, I think they did a good job. I'm looking forward to the next one too with the sarcophagus.
That's going to be a good one. I think that's coming sometime August, I think. So we got a little bit of a wait, but we'll see how it ends up shaking out. So there it is. You guys let me know in the comments down below. You picking up the Mummy. What are your thoughts? Can you rank them in order? Let us know all that fun stuff. Make sure you like the video. My dad came all the way over like a mile down the street. So he did a long walk over here.
Oh, boy.
So make sure you give the old thumbs up to the video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Follow me on Patreon. Newly launched here for the channel. All kinds of stuff. If you are a Patreon member, guess what? You get this video like weeks ahead of time. Something like that. Maybe not. Maybe a couple days. But you're getting it early. That's for sure. If you're a Patreon member. So look at the link in the description below. SirPaul64 on Twitter is where you can find me. Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. And of course, ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And then, Dad, where can they find you?
Again, Tom's Dance Party, TikTok, every
Yes.
Wednesdays.
I just can't get into the
I hate
TikTok.
to brag. I'm not going to brag
Yeah,
about
don't-
it anymore.
Okay.
I mean, come on.
People have subscribed by now. They know.
You watch.
They say you got to keep promoting, promote. But yeah, every Wednesday, I believe, a new dance video. He's been working hard. He's got some crazy moves ready to go. And I always find it interesting how I'm on these social media platforms, but he's on TikTok. I don't understand TikTok. I don't get it.
This week we've got Little Joe, and he's going to play his hit Polka Polka Polka.
Little Joe. Oh, those guys up in Wisconsin, they love polka up there. I've been up there.
Minnesota Wedding Band.
Minnesota too. There you go.
Yeah.
It's Polka Mania running wild and Mummy Mania running wild on the channel. So for my dad, for the Mummy, I am Kyle. We'll see you guys all real soon. We'll wing it. I'll have to ask you questions, see how your memory is on some of this.
Okay.
Welcome everyone. Kyle here with special guest today.
Your dad, once again.
We'll try it again.
Okay.